Hello, my name is Riley Morton, and I will be looking into whether is there an optimal stride frequency for running. Some key terms that you'll see within the next slides are optimal stride frequency and energetically optimal. Optimal stride frequency is the amount of times your foot makes contact with the ground that is associated with peak physiological performance. Energetically optimal is low oxygen consumption and low heart rate, leading to low energy costs. The first article I reviewed was entitled Step Frequency Patterns of Elite Ultramarathon Runners During a 100-kilometer Road Race. Now, the protocol for this consisted of 12 males and 8 female runners during the World Championship Road Race in 2016 using watches that track their step count. It was found that the average stride frequency of all the runners was 182 steps per minute. It was also found that stride frequency was not significantly affected by speed, distance, or fatigue, which is a general thought that stride frequency will increase with speed. However, this was proven inaccurate within this study. If we move over here to this little bubble on the right, it explains that the previous research determined that elite runners self-select a stride frequency that is energetically optimal, meaning it contributes to low heart rate and low oxygen consumption, allowing the runner to maintain long-distance consistency. It was also found that increasing stride frequency from the runner's self-selected frequency would cause negative attributions like reduction in energy absorption within the hip and knee, a reduction in leg stiffness, and peak vertical forces. However, decreasing the stride frequency could also increase vertical loading rates, all of which contribute to a higher risk of injury. Further, about 53% of stride frequency variability came from internal variables like muscle fiber type, physiology of the runner, height, and training characteristics, as found that taller runners elicit a lower stride frequency. Moving over to the graph on the right, it shows the comparison of stride frequency and distance. Now, each color, little line up there, represents a different runner, and there are technically two graphs. The A side, which is the boys, and the B side is the girls. That black line in the middle of both graphs represents the fixed effect of distance, as the graph shows the little variation between stride frequency due to that distance. And to summarize the findings of this particular article's research, the authors determined that there is no optimal stride frequency because the internal variables are the main determinants. They also suggest avoiding rigid prescriptions of stride frequency, as they will not be optimal for all runners. Now, the second article title is Optimal Stride Frequencies in Running at Different Speeds. Now, the protocol of this article consisted of 8 females and 8 male inexperienced runners, and they performed 3 blocks of self-selected speed and 6 levels of 70, 80, 90, and 100, and a self-selected stride frequency. They ran for 3-minute periods, and the scientists tracked their heart rate and oxygen consumption with various devices attached to the runners. The findings of the experiment found that the self-selected stride frequency was lower than the generalized optimum of 83 strides per minute, as determined by previous research. Despite the authors suggesting an avoidance of that 83 steps per minute rule and focusing more on the individualized stride frequency, they did highlight that the inexperienced runners could obtain an energetic benefit from increasing their stride frequency. A slightly increased stride frequency would allow for lower heart rate and lower energy costs, resulting in reduced vertical oscillations, shorter ground contact, increased leg stiffness, and a reduced horizontal braking forces, all of which are important for reducing injury and maintaining physiological consistency. The graph on the right shows the relationship between heart rate and stride frequency during the 3 trials of speed increases. The dotted line is 90%, the dashed is 100, and the solid line is 110%. And the graphs show that the stride frequency doesn't significantly alter in the different speeds, and it does show that some don't really change at all if you're looking at graph A and C on the left side. So, to answer the question, is there an optimal stride frequency for running? The answer is no. There are recommendations such as that 83 to 90 strides per minute general rule. However, the research shows that stride frequency must be determined by the individual. The internal variability of the runners is more important than the external determinants like distance or speed in selecting a consistent stride frequency for elite and inexperienced runners. Thank you.